we can stop there and get an eyeball sandwich or something. Now then, this is the spot in the tour I'd like to stop and talk just a little bit about superstitions. Because I think that superstitions are the silliest things that humans have ever come up with. If you know someone who believes in superstitions, you ask them why they believe in them, chances are they won't have a good reason for you. Am I right? Usually people believe in superstitions because someone before them believed them and someone before them and so on and so forth. That's the way they work. They're passed down from generation to generation. Now, as everyone knows, there's really no basis in fact for superstitions. They're a little more than stories. In fact, some of the more silly superstitions that we know about are things like if you break a mirror, 7 years bad luck. Either one of you never broke a mirror before?
Oh yeah, lots
yeah,
of
they're
them.
made out of glass. It's kind of hard not to, right? Now they say that it's bad luck to break a mirror because back in the old days when mirrors first came out, people really didn't know what to make of them. And back then they were more into scaring the bejesus out of people than educating. That's the way they kept them in line, scaring the bejesus out of them. So they told them that inside this mirror there lived a demon. This demon was able to change his appearance just like anyone looking in the mirror would, to fool them, which was fine unless you break the mirror. That would release the demon, thereby causing the bad luck. Now the story used to go that if you broke a mirror, bad luck would follow you the rest of your life. Then after a while they changed it to 7 years because no one wanted to think that they were going to have bad luck following the rest of their life. The reason that they came up with the 7 years is because the Greeks found that 7 years was the exact time that takes all of these cells in your body to regenerate. Apparently they figure you're going to be a different person every 7 years. I don't know how that works, but that's the story they came up with. That's what we're going with. Now there's a superstition in this area that says you should not clip your toenails on Sunday. I don't know. That's what they say. Now I live here, so I try to keep the local traditions as much as possible, and I do not clip my toenails on Sunday. I do, however, clip them on Saturday night at 11:59, just in case there's a little loophole in the... No, I'm kidding. I chew them off. It's a lot easier. There's an Irish superstition that says you should not put your shoes on the table, any table in your house, because that will bring the leprechauns. Now apparently at some point in history, leprechauns got a bad rap. The only one that I know of is Lucky from Lucky Charms, and he's magically delicious. How bad can he be? Of course, everyone knows about the black cat. If a black cat crosses your path, bad things are supposed to happen. A lot of people, though, are not aware of a little-known escape clause in the black cat situation that says that if, while the black cat is still within your sight, you undo an article of clothing, be it a tie, a button, a zipper, what have you, then the ill effects of the black cat are negated. Now, there is no word on how long you can stand with your pants down for this to be effective, but if you find out, get back to me, will you? Because in my line of work, I never know.
There's another one too.
The X?
No.
What's the other one?
Yeah. You walk backwards.
Backwards, the way you came.
Steps.
There's about, you know what, there's about as many ways out of superstitions as there are superstitions. Now then, another superstition that we know about comes from some of the people in Pigeon Forge when they're redoing the road in front of the Old Mill restaurant, digging it up. And when they did, they came across something that they couldn't explain. It was a casket. And in this casket was the body of a woman. She was buried face down. Now they had no idea what this meant, so they had to investigate. And what they found was that this was a superstition that dated back to the 1600s. This is the way they buried witches. Now they buried them underneath a roadway so as to disturb their eternal slumber, and they buried them face down so that if they ever got out of the casket, they'd become confused and claw their way straight to hell where they belong. And once they found out about this, they wanted nothing more to do with this woman, put her back where they found her, and actually added a crosswalk over the top of her to double up on the disturbing the slumber portion of the superstition. So while you're in town, if you want to have a great meal, the Old Mill Restaurant in Pigeon Forge, great place to eat. And afterwards, if you're bored, you want to run that meal off, go back and forth across that crosswalk and bug that alleged witch for me. Now the reason I call her the alleged witch is that a few months ago, a woman was on my tour and she claimed to be sensitive to the spirits of the previously alive. And she reminded me that a lot of people back then were persecuted wrongly for being witches. And apparently this witch in Pigeon Forge, completely innocent of all witch-related charges. So I now refer to her as the alleged witch, because I have to drive over her every night on my way home and I don't want to take any chances. Now the two most fascinating things that I find about the witch phenomenon is number one, the preferred method of deciding if someone is a witch. It's called swimming the witch. They would take the person, bind their hands and feet, throw them in the water. Lake, pond, stream, whatever they had available. If they floated, obviously they're a witch, so they burned them at the stake. But if they didn't float, they were home free. Guess what happens when you don't float? You sink, you drown, you die. Kind of a lose-lose situation. You're either a witch, or they send a letter to your parents saying, hey, she wasn't a witch, but she's dead. Blah, blah, blah. The other fascinating thing about the witch phenomenon is it was started by 3 bored teenage girls who had nothing better to do with their time. Read about it in a book they did, started pointing at people and saying, thou art a witch, so on and so forth. So if you should ever find yourself in the company of teenage girls, do not allow them to be bored because you never know what they're going to come up with next. You might be on their list.